Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, guys? I'm so happy to be here this evening. It's a new concept, it's a new technology, it's a new idea, something that gives you peace of mind. Today, I am here with one of my lovely brother. We're going to be talking about so many things and so many things and so many things. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is how to make your life better, how to give you peace of mind, how to make sure you don't run into any trouble in any way or fashion. And the easiest thing to do is to protect yourself. Did you hear me right? Protect yourself. Just to say, everything is going to be all right. If you don't do anything about it, everything might never be all right. So on the program today, I'm going to talk. We'll be talking to a gentleman. He's a gentleman. Yes, he's a gentleman. I don't know what you're looking at me for. I'm telling you, this guy is gonna break it down into pieces. He's gonna break it down completely in a way that maybe you have not heard about it. I hope you like my new cushion, my new studio, which I don't know what to say. I'm just fascinated. But every day is going to be changing and changing and changing, improving. Tomorrow the cameras are going to change. Put a little bit of tickling there because we just invest some money. Maybe through insurance money, we decide to splash out on something that can make our life easy and give us peace of mind. So, without much to do, I will be bringing in my guest on this program today. I've been learning a lot, so many things. He has actually break things down for me in a way that I said, no, I'm not the only one who's going to hear this. I'm going to be putting this one out to you guys so that you can make an informed decision about how to make sure your life is secure, how to make sure that things go well with you, how to make sure that you are not going to be left in the dark in case of any eventualities. I hope you have insurance in Nigeria that works. But I don't think insurance works there because when you have an accident with your car, you're screwed up. When someone burgled your house, you're in trouble. When you damage any things in your house, nothing happens. Have you heard about funeral plans? It's a form of insurance. I'm not going to tell you much about this. I'm going to leave it to the expert. Someone that knows exactly what they're talking about. Someone that knows the in and out. Because if I give you an advice and the advice is wrong, you know in England there's somebody called FSA, Financial Service Authority. I think I get it right. They're going to crucify me. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to leave it to the expert to actually go through all this nitty-gritty. Don't worry, I am not going to be gentle with this gentleman in any way or form because I want to get the best information out there for you guys to make a proper formal decision about how your life and how things should go. So, here's the gentleman. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
To be here.
I am very happy to be here. Very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
But before you start getting excited about being happy to be here, you are sitting on my hot seat. And hot seat means I'm going to ask you so many questions. I'm going to throw questions.
I'm ready.
In a way
I'm ready.
Maybe nobody has done that to you before. First of all, can we get to meet you? Who are you?
Okay. My name is Oluwapelumi Emmanuel Oganla. I am a Yoruba man. Actually born in Lagos, Nigeria. But it wasn't until I became 8 years old that my family moved over here to the United Kingdom. I'm a graduate of the University of Manchester, where I studied business management. And after that, I've been working as a financial advisor and a protection specialist for a company called Unisure ever since. And we work with many different insurance. Zurich, Sirensex, Cesta, Exeter, Legal and General. The list goes on and on. So on a day-to-day, I sit down with individuals, people that have families, business owners, people in employment, and I have a conversation with them about their circumstance and give them a breakdown of the many ranges of insurances that I do, and then I tailor it to their specific needs and what they can afford as well. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So that's a little biography, if you will, about me, what I do. I also am a poet. I do that as a hobby, and by God's grace as well, I've got a heart for the kingdom of God, for Jesus, for the ministry. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Okay, first of all, you passed my first test because you said you are a Yoruba person. You didn't say you're a Nigerian.
Yes.
You said you are Yoruba.
Yes.
You're very
Yes.
divided. Because I said to you, it's going to be a very odd seat. So, guys, this guy is not a Nigerian, so you need to give him a very big thumb up for that. He gets to understand that being a Nigerian is a dream killer, and being a Yoruba person means you can excel as high as possible. So, for that reason, I'm going to please persuade you guys to make sure you share this program so that people can get to know that this guy is a Yoruba man. Right?
Yes.
And it's going to make your life very easy. So, let's start. What is the importance of insurance? First of all.
Okay. The importance of insurance. I mean, I firsthand know the importance of insurance. Believe it or not, on the first Saturday of the year, so the first Saturday of 2021, I was making my way to meet with a client to discuss some insurances and things like that. I was in a specific location, and as I was maneuvering or trying to get to the client's house, God will forgive him, Sha. Let me put it that way. God will just forgive him. But a person drives very close to me, and whilst I'm trying to navigate, where I'm going to go on my phone, he just snatches the phone off my hand whilst he was on a bicycle, and he drives away. And I was in shock. I didn't really believe what was happening at the time. There were police around the corner, so when I went down back into the train station, I reported the crime scene. They gave me a crime reference number, but luckily I had insurance. Luckily, I had a home and content insurance that my phone, it was an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that's the latest iPhone. Luckily, my phone was covered within that home insurance plan. The provider was Zurich, which is a provider that I work with. So I actually set myself up on this insurance. I mean, as an advisor, I'm in a position to make sure that I set it up properly the way it should be set, so that when there is a chance for claim, there's no issues. So I did all I had to do. I claimed, and long story short, I got the money from the insurance company to replace the phone. So it was almost as though I never lost the phone. So insurance is extremely important for those reasons. But what I always say to people is that if the home is insured, if the contents of the house is insured, if the phone is insured, if the car is insured, how much more your biggest asset, which is actually you, your life, your health, your ability to actually work and earn, how much more is that important? Because the only reason why I could afford to pay for all my bills, the only reason why I was even able to pay for the home insurance is because I work. But a lot of people don't know that there is a thing called income protection. Income protection allows individuals to have their income protected so that in the unfortunate event that they cannot work because of an accident or a sickness, money is still coming in on a monthly basis. And one of my clients that I worked with last year, he would be able to actually tell you as well how important it is, because he got into a car crash, unfortunately, and the doctor told him stay away from work for 2 months. For those 2 months, he wasn't going to be able to work, so money wasn't able to come in. But because he had the income protection plan, when we claimed 1,500, which is equivalent, very close to his after-tax earning, was coming in on a monthly basis. So insurance is extremely important because it gives you that peace of mind that if anything happens that could come across as a financial burden, a phone is lost, you have to replace it, or you're sick so you cannot work, your ability to earn is compromised, down to significant medical conditions like cancer, stroke, God forbid. I do not wish it on myself or for anybody, but there are insurances there that would enable you to receive a payout that will help ease all of the burden that may come if you don't have the insurance policy in place. I shared on some successful times where insurances were in place and people were able to get the claim, but there have also been unfortunate circumstances that highlight the importance of having an insurance in place. And when I was a young 21-year-old boy, I was still in university at the time. I had a very good friend that I went to college with, and we stayed in contact all through university. It was a healthy guy, only 21, because people have the idea that when they're young, they shouldn't put insurance in place, but insurance should be put in place by everybody as long as they've started to work. He was young, he was 21 at the time, and he was studying. All of a sudden, he fell into a coma. He was in a coma for about 2 weeks. When he woke up from the coma, there was a cancerous tumor on his head. So the doctor said, they have to diagnose him with cancer. Unfortunately, there was no insurance in place. There was no critical illness policy in place, which would have been very important for him. There was no global treatment cover in place as well. This is a cover that a lot of people don't actually know about. There was no global treatment cover. And what global treatment would have done is it would have allowed him to have access to medical institutions that are not in the UK, that are abroad, and that are better than the NHS for specific conditions. And his accommodation to that country would have been funded. His travel rather to that country would have been funded. His accommodation whilst he's there would have been funded. The treatment itself would have been funded, and him coming back to the UK as well would have been funded as well, with £100 hospitalization benefits, and a companion would have been allowed to come with him as well. Unfortunately, there was no critical illness policy in place. Unfortunately, there was no global treatment policy in place, and nobody had £50,000 there in the bank account, because after a while, when his condition wasn't getting any better, the family said, okay, let's go to Germany to get private treatment. So they had to go on GoFundMe to raise the money. As they were waiting for the GoFundMe to be raised, his condition continued to get worse and worse, and unfortunately, he passed away. So a critical illness policy, maybe depending on what he could have afforded, or a person can afford, £100,000 can be the payout, £50,000 can be the payout, £20,000 could be the payout. That, along with global treatment, could have allowed a situation where the family has the money needed for the treatment. They don't have to go on GoFundMe anymore. They have quick and easy access to the best medical institution, that would be affordable, that would be available to them. So there are many different situations and scenarios that I can show us that I've experienced myself. Another scenario that I experienced myself was when I was at university. I actually met a homeless person. He was only 19 at the time. I asked him how he became homeless. He said some years ago his mom died. And when his mom died, the cost of living fell on him. And to afford to pay the bills, to pay the rent, he couldn't. And there was no family to take him in as well. So there was no other choice but for him to get evicted. And he became homeless as a result of that. There is a policy called family income benefit that a lot of people don't know about. But it's protection for your dependents, people that are your children that are dependent on you financially, that will pay a monthly allowance every single month after a person has passed away until the child is of age when they can look after themselves. That's family income benefit that a lot of people don't know about. So that could have averted that situation of homelessness for the next generation. So insurance is very important because it's a really good way to protect yourself, and it's a very good way to protect your loved ones as well. It's also a way that a person can pass on generational wealth to the next generation. They can pass on a legacy. I'm a believer, and I allow the biblical principles to guide my life. The Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And we understand that, when the Bible is talking about that, it's talking about the inheritance of faith, but there are principles for life that we can guard. If a man starts a business and he leaves it as an inheritance for his child to run, it means that the child can provide for himself. That's a wise thing to do. Insurance is another wise way to leave an inheritance for your children's children. And it's unfortunate because we don't know the opportunity that we have at our disposal. If you have a policy that can pay $500,000, $250,000, maybe even 100K to your child when you pass away, there is the money that the child can use for a mortgage deposit. There is the money that a child can use to invest in a company that will yield a return. There's the money that a child can use to invest in a business that he wants to start himself. So not only are we removing the financial burden that will come if you're no longer in the child's life because you're caring for the child, but you've also paved the way for the child to be financially free and financially stable. So it's extremely, extremely important for yourself and for your loved ones to have these personal protections in place. So I guess that's a lot of information, and I guess that everybody hearing can see that it's extremely important to have these insurances in place. So yeah.
I like the way you're breaking it down. But when you say that insurance, this insurance, a lot of people will get confused. So how do you pick the right insurance then? Because there's so many.
Perfect. Perfect.
You mentioned about 20 different kind of insurance. Which one will I know is going to be suitable for me?
Perfect. And you know what? That's where I come in as an advisor. Because what I do, the way I run my consultations with people is I give them a breakdown of the different insurances that I do. Then I get an idea of their specific needs, their specific circumstances, and then I tailor the insurance to them. I'm going to give us a breakdown of the different insurances that I do and I advise on. But before I do that, I always advise people that when it comes to things like Go Compare, or when it comes to things like getting the insurance from the bank, it's not very advisable. If you've gotten your insurance from the bank, if you've just gone online and just done a random quote and you've quoted yourself and you've done it for yourself that way, it's not very advisable. Your insurance is very, very due for a review, because insurance are supposed to be tailored to the need of the individual. Just like if there's an event coming up, a wedding, and you have to have Ashore for the wedding. You go to the tailor will take your measurements and design a bespoke outfit for you. Insurance is supposed to be the same way, where the different insurances that are there are tailored specifically to you. So I'll start from the top. Life insurance. Life insurance, there are two types of life insurance. There's a whole of life insurance. That one is a lifetime policy. It has no expiry date. That one, you will put that one in place to make sure that the funeral expenses are looked after. You can have a whole of life insurance and you can have a funeral plan. A lot of people also tell me that they have properties there that they want to pass on to their loved ones, but a lot of people don't know that inheritance tax is a major thing that your children, your wife, is going to have to deal with, because they will tax them a lot of money to inherit that assets that you're giving to them. So a whole of life insurance can be put in place so that the payout can be used to pay that inheritance tax, so that your child can inherit that asset that you want to give to them. You can also use a whole of life policy to pass on wealth. If you have 3 children and you want to make sure that maybe £30,000 is allocated to each of them, we can do a policy for £90,000 payout, a whole of life policy, and we can split it in that way. So that's whole of life. Then you have a term life insurance, where you are covered for a specific term. The maximum term is usually age 90. So you can use that one for legacy purposes, or you can tailor that to your retirement age, so that whilst you're in employment, if anything happens, your children are covered. Or you can do it to when your youngest child will be financially independent. For you, that might be the age of 25. For you, that may be the age of 21, So we tailor it that way. So that's how as life insurance goes. Life insurance pays a lump sum of money to your dependents when you pass away, and your loved ones, your family, all the people that you care about. We also put the policy into something called a trust. It is very important, because a lot of people have life insurance, but they don't have that policy written into a trust. What that means is, when it comes time to claim, the policy is going to go through something called probate. Inheritance tax is going to be a factor. You might have to get a lawyer and a solicitor to help you make sure that the claim goes to the people that it needs to go to. But we as advisors, we make sure that the policy goes into trust. Once the policy goes into trust, the trustees are there. It's legally there. The legal representatives to ensure that the money goes where it's supposed to go. And you've got your beneficiaries there as well. And you can allocate how much goes to which beneficiary. We help with that process as well. So that's as far as life insurance goes. Now, I also do advice on critical illness policy. What the critical illness policy will do is it will ensure that if a person is diagnosed with a severe medical condition, God forbid, cancer, stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, liver failure, coma, dementia, Alzheimer's, those critical conditions that are life-altering, and a person is not going to be able to work whilst going through treatment for those kind of things. A critical illness policy would ensure that there is a payout that the person can use to fall back on because they can't work, or they can use it to pay for a carer to look after them, or they can use it to buy something that will help them within that condition, or pay for private treatments so they don't have to wait in line with the NHS. So that's critical illness cover. I also do income protection. Income protection is not like critical illness because it doesn't have to be critical. It just has to stop you from being able to work. And you have to have a doctor's note. It covers about 65% of your gross salary, so your before tax earning, so that in the event of you being unable to work because of an accident or a sickness, on a monthly basis, the money is coming in. Money that you can use to pay your bills, money that you can use for your childcare, money that can ensure that you are keeping up with your savings for the financial goals that you may have. So that's income protection. I also do private health care. COVID, wow. If there is something that has highlighted the importance of insurance, it's been COVID. Because what has happened is a lot of people have been calling my phone to panic buy because they are tired of being on the waiting list with the NHS, because the NHS have to tend to COVID patients, but they have no diagnosis. Their condition is getting worse. They're trying to go into private institution. Private healthcare gives you that peace of mind where you can be attended to at a speedy rate. Your diagnosis can be speedy. Your treatment can be speedy, whether it's a surgical procedure. Everything is just fast because you're not on the waiting list with the NHS. You have private GPs that can consult you, diagnose you, and refer you to a private institution close to your area and for the specific ailment that you're going through. And then your medical bills will be covered. You and your children can be covered underneath that private health care. It also covers additional covers like dental, optical, physiotherapy, mental health, and travel cover as well. It's unfortunate now that something that happened with COVID is a lot of people were made redundant. They let them go from work. So a lot of people were calling me in this time saying that they want redundancy cover because they are afraid. But COVID affected the whole market that for a time, redundancy covers are not on the market at the moment. But once things go back to normal, please, if there's something that COVID has taught us all, is that everybody needs a redundancy cover, because nobody saw COVID happening. COVID happened and a lot of people were out of job. If those people had redundancy cover, they would have been paid on a monthly basis for up to 12 months, up to 2 years, depending on what we quote them for. So it would be as though they were never made redundant because money is coming in on a monthly basis. So that's redundancy cover. For the time being, it's on pause, but very, very soon, because Boris has spoken, and things are slowly but surely getting back to normal. When things get back to normal, we'll be able to put redundancy covers in place for people. We also do mortgage protection cover. So mortgage protection cover allows you to have a cover that would make sure, God forbid, if you pass away within the term of your mortgage, or if you fall critically ill within the term of your mortgage is paid off. That burden is gone. And it doesn't fall on your next of kin. Because if you don't pay off the mortgage in your lifetime, it's going to fall on your loved ones. And that's not the inheritance that we want to leave for our loved ones. We don't want to leave debt. We don't want to leave debt to our loved ones. We don't want to leave them debt for them to inherit. No, we want to leave wealth by the grace of God. So that's mortgage protection. And then we also do business and commercial insurance. If you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, and your work entails you giving advice to people, professional indemnity to cover your back against advice that may go wrong, public liability, if you have a shop, content insurance, stock insurance, whatever business that you have, we have the suitable commercial insurance for you. And then we also do general insurance, which is building and content insurance for your house, for the goods of your house, for your building, and even landlord's insurance if you rent your property out to tenants, so that you're covered against tenants damaging your household, damaging your content, or even stealing from you as well. So it's a wide range of policies that we do: life insurance, critical illness, income protection, private healthcare, building and content, mortgage protection, landlord insurance. It's a stop shop of insurances. So it's for me to sit down with you as an individual, look at what your circumstance is, look at what you can afford, and then tailor it to you. You know, it might be family income benefit, private healthcare, critical illness and life insurance that may be good for this person. It might be income protection and life insurance that may be good for this person. So that's where I come in as an advisor, you know, to give you a breakdown of the different ones. Make sure you understand it very well. Make sure it's written. Make sure you can afford it. Make sure it's gone into trust and all those kind of things. I hope that answers your question.
It does answer it in full. That is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you actually break it down in a way that I don't have to be too mean on you, because one of the things I wanted to say is that when you're paying for all this insurance, it's very easy. But when it's time to pay out,
oh, beautiful.
Story comes.
Beautiful. Story. Do you know why, my brother? Do you know why that's the case?
Why?
The reason why that's the case is because a lot of people buy the insurance themselves and they don't sit down with an advisor to consult with that would aid them with the fine prints of insurances, what can potentially invalidate the claim. A lot of them, maybe they get it with the bank, but the bank will help you with the insurance, but they will not advise you. Maybe they will go on Go Compare, maybe they will go on this website, get a quote, they see an advert on the TV, they call and they just take a policy, but they don't have advice. One of the actual important thing to break down is I want to share with you some of the providers that I work with and the rates of which they pay out. So in 2019, I need to get cleared up with 2020, but in 2019, one of the providers that I work with, Royal London, they paid out 99.7% of claims, and that cost them about 99.7% of claims, and that cost them a total of 507 million. That's Royal London. Another provider that I work with, Aviva, they paid out 96.3% of claims. That cost them about 982 million in total that they paid to clients.
The ones that they didn't pay out. What happened to those ones?
Exactly. Okay, cool. This is where I'm going. The people that they didn't pay out, there is something called non-disclosure or indisclosure when the policy is being written. So when you're doing a policy and they are asking for specific medical conditions, they're asking for your smoking status, they're asking for body mass index. When you don't disclose the accurate information that the doctor has records with, and you just say that, let's say you don't have any medical condition, and then it's time to claim, and the doctor and the providers, the insurance providers check with your GP. When they see something that you didn't declare, you've not been upfront and you've not been honest, it's things like that that invalidate the claim. Because I'll be honest with you, insurance providers, it's in their best interest that they pay. The reason I say that is because the more they pay, the more the payout percentage, the more they can advertise on the basis of their payouts, and the more they can build themselves as a reputable brand that people will trust and want to have insurance with them. But when you tie their hands because of indisclosure and they don't pay, it's because of reasons like that. So it's for me as an advisor to tell you, you have to disclose everything. If you don't disclose everything, your claim might be invalidated in the future. And if your claim is invalidated in the future, it's going to come back to me as the advisor. You rightly mentioned the Financial Services Authority. They are now called the FCA, my brother. So it's the Finance Conduct Authority. I, as an advisor, I answer to them because they regulate me. They regulate the company that I work with, Unisure. They regulate us. So if we are in a situation where we are doing insurances for people and they're not claiming, and they're claiming and it's not falling through, the onus and the accountability comes on me as the advisor So I take that job very, very serious. I make sure that I give my client all the information, all the fine prints, so that when it's time for them to claim, I'm even involved in the process as well. They call me and I say, okay, let's work out this claim together. I claim, I'm involved in the whole process. Another situation is, let's say a person has a life insurance policy that's only going to cover them till the age of 60 or 65 to when they retire. But somehow, because you'll be so surprised how many people, when I'm reviewing their policy, I actually tell them what they have and they don't even know what they have themselves. They'll tell me I have a whole of life policy. I'll say, Auntie, let me see your paperwork, please. Let me see the paperwork. Auntie will show me the paperwork. I will see term will expire at the age of 65. I'll say, Auntie, this isn't lifetime. This one will expire at 65. So a lot of people, the policy has outlived the policy term. And then the critical illness happens or something happens, and then they try to claim, but they don't know that they're no longer covered. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's very important that you have an advisor that will tell you this is covering you for so amount of time. And me as an advisor, every year I review the policy that I've done for the client to see that if their circumstance changed, if they want to add, if they've had a child that they want to also consider in the insurance, if they now have a mortgage that they now want to consider in the insurance, because as circumstance changes, your insurance need might be different. Insurance providers come up with different benefits that is for me to know and understand and go back to my existing clients and inform, because it might be the perfect thing for them. So some people, they have policy, the policy is not going to take them till 90, but they think it's going to, but it's only going to expire at 70. Then they try to claim, but they're no longer covered. So it's little things like that might invalidate the claim. So that's why having an advisor like me is extremely important. I will actually let them know. I'll leave my number, my email address as well, so that anybody that needs to have a review or needs an insurance can actually contact me as well.
It's not about letting you go at the moment or leaving your number, because there's still a lot to talk about. So I'm still going to bring it back, and then we're going to start pointing a gun at different insurance and break the way you've explained things today will make a lot of people understand, to say, oh, this is what I've done, that is right. This is what I think I've done. But now, because of all your statements of facts today, I need to actually review. Even if they're not going to do insurance with you, it would be a good thing for you to sit down with so many people and review their insurance. Do you charge to review insurance?
100%, just to see what you have and let you know this gets a tick or this gets a cross, And
even if they do that, you will not be trying to sell your own thing to them?
Of course not. It's about advice.
And it won't cost them any money?
At all. It's the advice is totally free.
Put your hand to your chest and say, my advice is free and you don't have to take it.
My Father in heaven is watching me. My advice is completely free. It's not obligated. No one that I'm with has an obligation to take the policy after I advise them. What tends to happen though is when I break it down to them and people understand its value and it makes so much sense to them in a way that they really see its value, then they can go ahead with the policy. Because for me, it's about advising and helping you see its value and helping you see how it might be valuable to you. If you see all of that and you want to take the policy, more power. We give God the glory. But if you want to hear the advice and you want to wait to make an informed decision later, or you just want to hear the advice so that you're clued up and you don't want to necessarily do anything with it, that's fine as well. On a day-to-day, I have many people that I advise and I put policies in place for them. But then I advise some people and say, and they say to me that they will go on and do further research, or they will say to me that they will come back to me when they're financially able to do it, then we'll set it up in place. But they really, really believe in the products and they see its value. So yeah, there's no obligation. It's just free financial advice.
And can I ask you one question? This is your company won't hear this. It's just me and you. Know we're brothers.
Yeah.
You know that. And your company
you're
not under any pressure from your company to sell to people at all costs?
Yeah. No, I'm not. No. It's all about advice.
Okay. So
it's all about advice. No, there's no pressure to sell. In fact,
they put you under so much pressure to sell.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but in terms of my company, I can say this as a kudos to my company. Us as consultants, the company takes pride in us being advisors as opposed to salesmen. Because a salesman is always trying to get a sale. A salesman is not really worried about the quality of the advice he's giving. He's just giving you a quote and saying, this is how much it will cost you, this is how much the payout will be, this is how much the time will be, this is the dotted line, just sign. No. Me as an advisor, I go through the trouble of breaking down the products. Looking at, do you have a mortgage? How old is your youngest child? When would the youngest child be financially independent? How much would be enough for your funeral? How much is left on your mortgage? Do you have a business? What type of business insurance do you need? Your content and home insurance. Is everything protected? I will assess everything, then I will advise you. It's not about selling. It's about advice. And once you receive the advice and it resonates with you as an individual, then what makes sense is to adhere to the advice. A wise person listens to wise counsel and makes an informed decision based on the counsel that's been given to him. In my situation, I think it would be quite interesting to share how I became introduced into the whole insurance industry in the first place, because I wasn't necessarily applying for jobs in finance or anything like that. I was in Stratford one fateful day because I like to share to people about my faith. It's not, I just share it. At the end I don't force it down people's throat. I just share it. And if you can be impacted positively by my testimony, you can be impacted positively by my testimony. So that was why I went out to Stratford that day. I see my friend in Pret a Manger, and I just go to say hello to him. And then he introduces me to his friend who was doing insurance at that time. And at that time, I was looking for a job, but I'd applied to different places. He asked me if I'm looking for a job because there's vacancies. And he sat down and broke down the different products to me. At that time, I was 22. I didn't understand the products. But then when I understood critical illness, I thought about my friend that died from cancer. How critical illness policy would have been ideal. When he told me about life insurance, I remembered the homeless person I met that became homeless. How a family income benefit or a life insurance payout of 100K, 50K would have been ideal. Then I thought about myself. Being young as well is quite affordable when you're young. When you're older, you need it. It's imperative that you have it. But because of that, it tends to be a little bit more expensive. When you're younger, it's still quite cheaper because you're still young. But even me as a young person, because I have a family of people that I love and I care about, and I understood what had happened when people did not have the insurance in place, the advice made so much sense to me as an individual that I had to take on a policy at that point. I just had to take on a policy because I know what could happen when insurance is needed and it's not there. It's like having an umbrella in your bag. You just leave the umbrella there. You don't know that it's going to rain, but you're outside. All of a sudden, the clouds get gray. It starts to rain. and it dawns on you that, oh yeah, I have this umbrella in my bag. You'll be thanking your stars. You'll be thanking God, that you have umbrella inside your bag that day. You take out the umbrella, it's raining, you're covered. Insurance is the same day. It's the same thing, because nobody knows when that rainy day is going to come. But when that rainy day comes and you've got your protection, we thank God. Unfortunately, so many people passed away because of COVID. So many people were sick. So many people were ill. Unfortunately, not a lot of people had insurances. The GoFundMe pages were rampant, because the necessary protection wasn't in place. So it's wisdom to adhere to the advice, and actually protect yourself and protect your loved ones. And if you have insurance in place already, what type of insurance do you have? Why do you have it? It's worth having a review.
Okay, I'm going to hand it on this note today, and then me and you, we're going to try and arrange another time. You need to come and speak to us. You have an umbrella in your bag. I'm going to use your very simple.
Yes.
You have an umbrella in your bag. You left it there for too long without checking it.
Yeah.
Not knowing
the
handle. You've put so many things in your bag, and the handle, the column, is broken in the middle. Because you didn't check it. And then when it started raining, you bring it out and find out the umbrella cannot stand.
It can't cover you.
It can't
Man,
cover
you. You're speaking wisdom now.
Yeah. No, I'm just using your very word, because you put this word into my mouth, and I just love the scenario. Or you put the umbrella in your bag, and for one reason or the other, if you have rats in your house, they've actually eaten part of the cover of the cloth they use in making the umbrella. And then, or you have an umbrella in your bag when you were young, and then you now have 4 kids, and a husband or a wife, making 6, but you only have 1 umbrella. And this umbrella,
you need 6 umbrellas. You're speaking.
It's not big enough.
Yes.
It becomes a problem. So,
yes.
What's your contact number, in case people want to contact you, so that we can wrap this one up?
So my phone number is 079 615 74085. I'll repeat it. 079 615 74085. When you put the links on the Periscope, the Instagram, and everything, if you can attach it, that would be amazing. And my email address is oluwapelumi.ogalla@unisure.co.uk. That Unisure is spelled EUNISURE. oluwapelumi.ogalla@unisure.co.uk. What you were mentioning about the umbrellas is so powerful, and it just speaks to the reason or the importance of having a review. We have to review that umbrella every year. We have to review that umbrella.
On this note, because of time, I'm gonna have to let you go. But before we go, I'm gonna advise you as well. You've been advising us, so
yes,
I'm gonna throw my advice back to you. Get on eBay,
no problem.
And buy a very easy to remember mobile number.
Say that again.
Get on eBay and buy a very easy to remember mobile number. You know the number you normally call me on. Do you remember that number?
Yeah, it's very It's very simple.
0734 123 4560. Because some people, you mentioned the number now, they're trying to write it down. They haven't write it down finally. And I'm gonna let you go, then that's not good enough. So I'm gonna allow you to repeat the number again so that these people can get it grasp. Go ahead, repeat the number first.
Okay. 079, so 079 615 74085.
Okay, thank you very much. On this note, I will be taking on my brother later on and actually reviewing his own mobile number as well, so that it can be easy. I'll sit down with him. I wouldn't charge him. It's going to be free as well. Like he has always been free. So I'm going to advise him on the best number to take from eBay, so that it will be very, and a lot of you want to contact him later on, and it would be a good thing if it's very easy for people to contact the number on the comment section. Maybe later on you can please input your number on the comment section, both on YouTube and on Facebook. I don't know how they put comment on Periscope and Twitter, but on YouTube you can please go there and leave your number there so that people who are going to be watching this program later on can actually get all of you. Listen, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for bearing with me. Some people are asking some few questions as well. If you can get back onto them online as well and actually entertain some of their questions as well. I want to thank you for coming onto the show today, and I hope within a week I will like to invite you back so that we can start taking all these insurances one by one and break it down. Even if it's only for half an hour, that will make my life, it will give me, it will be like a service to humanity as well. That
no problem. Well, I'll be honored. That I will be more than willing. I'll be more than willing. Fantastic. I'm perfectly willing to do that. Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to thank you once again.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
We don't have a choice. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing properly. So on this note, I'll be saying thank you to you, and I hope to see you sometime this week. Thank you very much, brother. God bless you. Till then, bye-bye.
That was lit. Came with the smoke.